Hello everyone, you're all very welcome. It's nice for us to have a studio audience for once. A warm welcome to Rob and to Fiona, who you'll know as well. This, as you know, is really the launch of Virgin Media's season ahead of sport. Great time of year, we're getting to the finale and a whole bunch of sports. So over the next half hour or so, we'll take you through the plan for the next couple of months here in Virgin. We think it's a great offering and we think the coverage around the offering is very, very strong. So we're excited as ever this time of year. We'll kick things off with the rugby. There's obviously much more to come over the next half hour or so. This time of year is often the gateway to spring via the Six Nations. So just over 2 weeks' time, we will be pitch side for Ireland against England, which we're looking forward to. As ever, this tournament may be more open than others in recent years, but as ever, this will offer thrills and spills. So a little reminder of what's in store on Virgin on the men's Six Nations front in 2 weeks' time. The greatest championship in rugby is once again upon us.
It's got a history and a romance like no other.
It's just a joy to watch.
The physicality is high, the skill level is high.
The intensity of their training and their focus.
The margins between victory and defeat are so small.
And England have won the game at the 10th.
Can Ireland get complacent? Yeah, possibly.
You're only ever one loss away from crashing back to earth.
Stoke the fires again and not feel the past justifies the present.
Oh, it's gone straight to Sheehan!
The aim for the Six Nations will be the same as every other year. Win it.
The year where the French and the English come even raises expectations further.
And in under the post, Ireland's second try of the night.
That's the year for a Grand Slam, that's the goal.
And what's rare is precious, and that's what I love about the Six Nations.
The most exciting rugby championship in the world.
It's like nothing else on the planet.
And there we are, winter is over. That's that lovely Six Nations feeling. Hello to you both, you're both well?
Good, good. Getting goosebumps even watching that, Joe, myself.
Yeah, so we are going to kick off with the 20s on the Thursday. We will have France-Wales on the Friday, and then we'll be pitch side at the Aviva on Saturday for Ireland-England. So it's a bumper opening weekend, and that will take us to Paddy's Week, and then we'll be into Women's Six Nations. So that's kind of the plan on the rugby front. Fiona, who's going to win?
Oh, wow. Straight in there. Look, I think it's good that Ireland, have France at home and England this year. That's always huge. They'll be looking on the back of last year for pushing on and getting that double. I don't feel as confident as I did last year, but that's the enjoyment about it. But I feel like it could be Ireland or France, but I'll go with Ireland, Joe. I'm forever the optimist.
Yeah, it's a real change of tack for you. Why are you not as confident? There's been much talk of team in some kind of regression over November.
Yeah, just even watching I know it's different, but even watching the provinces, the attacking systems, I suppose it's not as innovative as I've seen before. I think they're being easily read. Yes, I know teams in general play the same system, and it's just there's a lot of options there, and it's, I suppose, how you go about your business and how you coach it in those areas. But certainly with Ireland's attack in particular, I'm not as confident and not as excited as I have been in the past watching it.
Rob, who wins?
I think Ireland-France, fair assessment. You can argue Scotland are probably the form team in the championship,
again.
But we're very anti-Scotland in this studio. But they're playing well. Do I think they'll win it? No. England are bubbling away nicely, and there's a misconception about the English that they're not performing well and they're scraping through games, but they had a good November. I think France is the team we're all interested and excited to see, and having Dupont back there again.
Yeah.
But coming to Dublin first round. Sorry, they're not Dublin first round.
Yeah, England in Dublin.
England and Dublin. So that first weekend always just throws everything open. If you get one upset in it, it changes the whole complexion of the competition.
And do you, it's strange, we've become kind of spoiled in many ways the way we're talking about Irish rugby. So they draw away in South Africa, they win the Six Nations, they don't manage to beat New Zealand, and are, okay, not amazing, I grant you, across November, but that the main talk is of regression looming large is maybe strong. But you share that sense, things are not clicking the way they were over the previous 2-3 years?
No, I share that sense, yeah. But particularly when we look at November, it was it was probably disappointing from a performance perspective. Okay, we would have liked to have played an awful lot better against New Zealand. Okay, we beat Argentina, but again, the performance was flat. So there was a little bit of a regression in terms of what we'd seen, certainly in South Africa and the Six Nations before that. Have we gotten greedier as fans, and is our expectation of what we want to see from them higher? Yeah, I think it is. Then you could argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But the fact that we're here talking about, you know, Grand Slams and championships again for a third championship in a row, it's pretty impressive.
I know, you forget that. They're going for 3 in a row. That should be the headline, not regression. By the way, so to be fair to the Scots, I'm often the one defending them here as you all pan them. So do you think Scotland away for Ireland?
I think that's our toughest game.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And on the other side of the coin, I think Scotland will be eyeing that fixture up as the one that they can really go after.
Yeah. Where are you in the Scots?
Yeah, look, I mean, their attack in particular, I love watching how they attack. We know Finn Russell, I mean, we've been in studio, Joe, talking about him. He can be absolutely magical or not sometimes. Yeah. So when he does show up, he's unbelievable. And when he's clicking and they're getting over the gain line, their attack, I think is just a joy to watch. So certainly in Murrayfield, very, very hard fixture. 2
more quick points on Ireland. The Andy Farrell not being involved factor.
It's interesting. I was actually chatting to Rob there beforehand, because it's such a small window. I would imagine everything stays similar, systems, how they play. Obviously Easterby's in there, it's generally the same coach and staff will be there, but I think his presence, you probably know more about it than me, but his presence and his aura and how he gives team talks, I'd imagine it's brilliant, and just the detail around it. So having him not there, yes, it might freshen things up a little bit, but I do imagine from listening to the way the players talk about him, that as a presence in the change room after game, that he will be a loss like that.
Why can't he be still involved as Irish coach? Doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm sure it's these discussions, and Gatlin was the same in previous years gone by, whatever way the contract is with the Lions. Now, you can be sure himself and Simon Easterby will be chatting regularly on the phone, and he might be in and out to camp a little bit. But at the same time, he'll want Simon to have his moment to be able to lead the team too, and might not want to step on his toes too much. But, you know, there is definitely a big void leaving camp now.
Would you, like, so say it was, say with Gatland, would you have felt it was wrong if you were playing for Ireland in the Six Nations and Gatland was set to be the Lions coach that summer but was still over Wales during the Six Nations? Or would you have no problem with it?
No, we'd have no problem at all with it.
I just wonder in the modern era.
It is unusual, and you'd wonder from an IRFU perspective, is this something that they welcome? Because it allows them, you know, blood the next coaches in line and give them a little bit more responsibility, and they can get first hand to see what they're made of.
Or maybe they had no choice.
Or maybe I presume they didn't have a choice. But you can look at it and take some positives out of the situation as well.
No, it's true. Who at the end of the championship is going to be Ireland's de facto 10?
Look, I don't know. I do think next week in particular is going to be a big week for both ends playing. I feel like looking at Crowley, his confidence is certainly down. I think the back of the autumns, how he's played, a lot of pressure. The one thing I would have always said in talking about him is how he handles pressure. Early on a game, if there's an error, he's able to take that, sweep it off and come out with huge performances. Looking at him, he looks a bit under pressure. I'd say what's going on outside isn't helping. Sam is absolutely brilliant. But if I was coaching, I'd start with tried and tested, depending how they go on. Like he had a relatively good game against Saracens, couple errors. And as the Six Nations progress, you can see, give him a chance, give him that first game against England. And I think if he can come up with a game, then it's up to Prendergast. Both will play, I do think, and start a couple of games. Maybe only one, but they'll certainly start, I think, each.
Because what makes the England game very interesting is that during November, Crowley starts against New Zealand and then Prendergast comes into his own, Rob. But you could always still maybe make the argument there's a degree of November about the selection of Prendergast starting and blooding him and giving him a chance. But day one, Six Nations, England and Dublin, will find out who they think their number one is today. Who's that going to be?
Yeah, I think it's Sam. I think he's in the driving seat at the moment. To be fair to Jack, when he came on for that 20 minutes against Argentina, he was very, very good. But even since that game, you know, Sam has gone to another level again.
Right.
For Leinster. And even at the weekend, you know, going away to France, La Rochelle, that's a very tough place to go. And you listen, if he made a few mistakes in the game, but if you come out of that game at a 7 or 8 out of 10, you've done pretty well for your first experience to French rugby away. And Jack similarly has struggled a little bit. Now, of course, he hasn't been helped by the team he's been playing in and the style of rugby that they're playing and everything that goes with that. And his confidence, as Fiona says, you can see is a little bit off. But for me, I think Sam starts that game and then it's up to him. He could, if he continues to go well with young guys, you just want to keep giving them exposure and keep giving them as many games as they can. So that's how I would see it at the moment.
Yeah, there's plenty up in the air. It's going to be a great championship. It sounds like a very open one. So that'll be the men. That starts just over 2 weeks' time. We'll start with the 20s on the Thursday, France, Wales Friday, and then Dublin for the visit of England, and on we go. And then Fiona will go from Paddy's week in March into the Women's Championship. And again, they'll have France and England coming to town, and they'll have to go away for those more winnable fixtures. Like the brief synopsis on the women has been, like, literally, we've had panellists in tears here. Like in recent memory, you know, like a real nadir.
Yeah.
And then a resurgence over the last 18 months, the win against New Zealand in the WXV, Six Nations avoiding wooden spoon, and now here we are in 25. Is your sense this team is set to like build on that, or what marks a good championship this year with England and France coming to Dublin, obviously?
Yeah, look, I think a really good championship would be obviously if they can beat France. England are unbeatable at the minute.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just, in all honesty,
it's the problem with the tournament.
Yeah, it is. And it's a World Cup year that's going to be held in England as well. So they're just absolutely peaking at the right time. So we always caught England before in the past and the year after a World Cup with the women's team. So when it was World Cup year, they're a different breed. But look, I really feel like this squad is building, and a lot of the chat, I suppose, outside and why there was tears at time, Joe, is because we know there was more in there. I mean, I'm coaching Munster. I've seen the standard and it wasn't the standard we were watching on TV. So for that resurgence to happen in a relatively quick enough time, I think it shows they are on the up. Qualifying for the World Cup in that Six Nations took the pressure off WXV. They were able to go out and enjoy themselves, and beating New Zealand was absolutely huge for a confidence booster. And topping it up, Canada are really good in women's rugby, and they put in a superb performance there as well. So I think the players he has in there, a lot of them are playing over the Premiership. This Celtic Cup that's going on means the sevens players that have been integrated into 15s are now actually playing 15s rugby as well, because they're playing those games. So I do feel like that they have the ability to beat France, but they would be expecting, I think, to win the 3 away games.
Oh, really?
Oh, definitely, yeah. On the back of on the back of their performances in WXV and how this group feel, a good championship would be them winning the 3 away games.
I thought you would say 1 or 2 away win.
3.
Right.
There you go.
Okay, that's good. We will obviously reconvene in just over 2 weeks' time, and then we'll be bringing rugby on Virgin screens through until May, pretty much, with the men's and women's Six Nations. So that is all from us.